Before we get into this, we want to thank you guys for being here today. I know there's probably a number of things you'd rather be doing once people said it, but instead you're giving us this unique opportunity for that. We want to personally thank you for doing that. So with that being said, my name is Kate Shreeman.
I'm Nipa Patel.
My name is Nilo Radinkovic.
And I'm Rodney Whitney, and we are the Tango Global Advising Team. Let's get started. So our core values here, our clients come first. We're just making sure, or your clients come first, and we are the advisors helping you to establish that rapport and that relationship with the millennials. We know that you all believe in a long-term quality investment, so we want to make sure that you understand that we are trying to reinforce, or you guys need to reinforce, that this is more or less a long-term philosophy that you all plan to enforce. So we want to present you with some solutions to just make sure that comes to life. We also understand that you all value partnership, that you value working with other companies. That's a really big part of Edward Jones. Lastly, in addition to that, we understand that you value the individual's contributions to the company in addition to those partnerships. So the mission. Edward Jones wants to grow and impact everywhere. We understand that you want to be the best financial advising company in the world, and we are here to help you understand and help you attain that goal. So just a table of contents, a synopsis, just a general overview, just to establish the solution, so we can get things going, just to introduce to you the bulk of the presentation. Operations analysis, Danilo will discuss the 5 forces, SWOT analysis, etc. And then Gage will discuss implementation, which is a really, really important part of the presentation to help you really understand where we, as your advisors, are coming from. Next, Nico will talk about the alternative solutions. And lastly, we're going to conclude with Q&A, conclusions, just to wrap things up. Synopsis. Trying to go back. So key issues that we will help you all kind of go through. Achieving the 2020 vision, you already have about 15,000 financial advisors. We want you all to get to 20,000 in a few years. Appealing to the growing market of millennial families, we want to help you all appeal to students our age. We're dealing with a different monster, a different audience, so there needs to be some changes in the traditional method. And speaking of the traditional method, we understand that Edward Jones is a very traditional-esque company. And so we want you all to kind of approach it a bit differently as far as technology, social media, to attract new clientele like us, so we can invest money and bring you all money. Increasing the market share in managed assets is another key issue that we all plan to address to help you out. Solution overview, we want to focus on education. Education is needed in attracting new clientele and because, we as students don't really understand investment like we should or could. So focus on hiring and expanding the education. And again, just reinforcing that 5,000 more financial advisors in a few years. Marketing to millennials is a little bit different with social media, technology, just reaching out. Millennials like things simple, quick, we're very busy, so that can play a role in attracting clientele and expanding Edward Jones. Expanding into universities, you want to see a bit later, just making branches, making things more accessible to us so we understand as soon as we get out of college, so we can be quick customers early on. And revamping the apps to reach out as far as social media, technology, etc. And next, I'll pass it on to Danilo. He's going to talk about the operations analysis.
Thank you, Rod. Thank you, Nico. So we did some research on your company, and this is the current clients that you guys are mostly having right now. The average age is around 54 years old. Those are mostly baby boomers, as we like to call them, the Generation X, I believe. And so, how do we change that average age to a much younger families that are going to take over the market in the future? And when I say future, I'm thinking next 10 to 15 years. You may as well continue to market the same way as you have done so far, but like I said, in about 10 years, that will leave you guys without any business. So we want to make sure that doesn't happen. We still want to keep creating these long-term relationships that you have established so far. And it's a unique services that Edward Jones offers that they're so personalized and so long-term that all the financial advisors almost become the part of their clients' families. So we want to make sure we keep that, but add a little innovation to that. So the current industry, as you can see there, it's worth about around $100 trillion. Edward Jones wants to get to $1 trillion, which would be about 3% market share in the United States. 40% of those, however, are located in pension funds. So people want to make sure they're secured for their retirement and once they retire. Also, the growth of U.S. GDP means the economy is going well. So there will be more and more opportunities for these sources, and there will be more resources in the market that and more investments that are waiting to happen. Just look at the industry 5 forces analysis. Like we see currently, the buyer power is a little weaker than expected. There is enough supply, and there are not many new entrants in the industry of investments. So financial services are pretty much as is. However, we believe that Edward Jones does not have competition of its own because of the unique products and unique services that you guys offer to your clients. SWOT analysis. So you guys offer a broad portfolio of products and services. However, there is a little bit too much dependency on the domestic market, although there is a presence in Canada, which we will see in the next slide. We believe that because of the uniqueness of your product and your services, it is hard to expand out of the United States. So we have a solution that we have for you, but it's an alternative solution. We'll talk about that later. Demographic changes, as you can see, there is a much younger population now, young adults forming young families. They're the future. So, however, they are not as educated as we would like them to be. And this is something where we have prepared for you in terms of how to educate the new market and new target for the future. Positive outlook for life insurance. So there is an increase in the market in the managed assets market. Life insurance is creating a bigger presence as we speak. So this is something that Edward Jones should also focus in the future. And of course, a threat is the Dodd-Frank Act that threatens pretty much any financial institution. So it pretty much wraps it up. As you can see, the U.S. and Canada market, so most of 90% of the operation is currently in the U.S. There is a slight presence in Canada. We want to expand on that, and we want to make that number 15,000 become 20,000 in the future. And now Gage will talk about the implementation process and how we plan this solution for you guys.
Thank you, Dylan. So we are aware that you guys already started a 5-year expansion plan, which is you're wanting to gain 5,000 more advisors from our current total, which is 15,000. And also want to increase your engagement through millennials, our generation. So we're going to touch on how to market to them and how to potentially create long-term partnerships with them further on down the road. And then we also understand that you want to add to your current value of managed assets. We also want to expand our education purposes by opening offices in college campuses. So the first thing that we want to touch on is the strengthening of the workforce. Obviously, you guys are wanting to grow, so the way we feel we can do that is by creating more positions and covering more ground by opening more offices, as you guys have done before, by incorporating them into neighborhoods instead of large family-sized buildings. As I said before, we especially want to expand into universities. We feel that is the most important thing for moving forward. We want to educate our future financial advisors as well as future customers, investors, in the way we feel to do that is by moving to universities where we're located. And then we also feel that if we increase the amount of financial advising interns, that'll also create the next generation of advisors for our workforce further on the road. So, as I said before, we especially want to expand into universities. What I mean by that is we want to open small branches within universities. Since your target market is the millennials and generations on past that, and what better place to do that than where we already are 5 days a week on the university. So instead of focusing these more towards customers, you can focus it more towards the educational purposes to educate us how to invest in the future, as well as this could be a better place to incorporate your internship programs. since we already are students located on campus, it's an easy commute, and we are obviously more interested in learning it than our students. So the locations that we felt would be best for these universities to at least start off and test how they work is in Arizona as well as Missouri, since we understand that that's where are your main headquarters. So you aren't branching off too far from where you're already familiar, but you're still able to test the waters with this expansion strategy. So the next thing that I want to touch on are the training practices. We understand that there is a large amount of tests and a very large amount of studying that's incorporated with passing these tests. And we spoke to an advisor personally, and what he said is that if you fail essentially any of these tests, you're separated from the branch. So that's something that we feel can be scaring away people that could be potential advisors for you in the future. And so that's what we want to talk on is the safety net. Instead of just separating them from the branch, we feel that this could tie back into the university strategy that we said before by incorporating sort of like a mentorship program. Since you already have invested all this money and all this time into training these employees to potentially pass these tests, instead of just cutting them out if they fail, we feel that they should maybe take a different approach on studying for these tests through a mentorship program. Another thing that I want to touch on is not necessarily bigger incentives, but possibly communicating these more effectively. Because we understand that there is already great incentives offered through Edward Jones, such as you are one of the last few training firms for these tests, vacation, pay time off, education purposes. So we feel that if we communicate these more to students and potential future advisors, that could create more of a demand for them to come and potentially take these tests and take the risk of moving into that position. And finally is the second chance. After we send these people back to their mentorship programs or potentially just allowing them more time on their time to study, we can give them a second chance to take this test instead of just separating them from the partnership. Taking a step back, we have to remember who we're trying to appeal to, and that's the millennial, and as well as the generations on beyond that. We understand that you have certain values with your traditional business plan, and we want to keep that, but we also want to kind of put a modern spin on it by incorporating more of a technology focus. So as we said before, millennials are always on the go. We are constantly working, we have school, social lives on top of that, and we feel we don't have time. So we put a higher value on our time, I suppose, than the older generations, and we're not as willing to possibly set up an appointment to come down to be a fan of our finances instead of a spectator, just kind of taking a backseat ride. So some things what we need to educate on is purchasing houses and retirement funds. That's something that we're not thinking of as a generation. And so that's something that we need to think about and educate, because whenever we get to that retirement age, the Social Security fund we're aware is probably going to be washed up. And that's something that we need to start learning about how to invest our 401k, how to lock in our insurance currently to keep that rate. And this is a perfect demographic to do it, since the majority of us, we're just uneducated. And we don't understand how to do it, and that's why we don't invest. So moving forward, I touched on the technology base of trying to appeal to the millennials. And so these are a couple apps that are already currently being used through Edward Jones, and that's WebEx, which is an online meeting program such as Skype, but it's more professionally geared. And one thing that we're worried about is that our generation is too unfamiliar with it, since it's not as popular as Skype or Google or these other platforms. So it's something that we need to consider. And the next thing is the Edward Jones app. It's a great potential. We like how it was set up, but we feel it isn't necessarily personalized enough. And when reading in the App Store, there was a lot of bad reviews about how it's crashing and just not working as it should. And so that is something that we need to focus on as well. I'll touch on the next slide. So I'm going to start off by showing you 57% of millennials, which is well over half of our generation, we're willing to go to different technologies, different firms, if their technology works more fluidly and more personalized to us. So that is something that we need to consider when updating the app. And then we also want to incorporate a FaceTime kind of situation or program into the app as well. So since we are on the go, and as I said before, we don't necessarily have the time to set appointments to go down to the branches and meet with you. Instead, we would think if you have like a FaceTime app where you can communicate on the go and still have that screen sharing to show us what you guys are doing with our finances, that can still get us engaged in learning and knowing what's going on and potentially create more of a long-term relationship with Edward Jones. So that's our main solutions. I wanted to pass it on to Deepa now to kind of give the different view of expansion.
Right, I will be talking about the alternative solutions, but these are just alternatives and we strongly recommend using the solutions that we had before. One of the potential opportunities that we see is expanding into Europe, and we had an article that we had read about that Edward Jones actually wants to go to Europe, one of the potentiality. But looking at the Great Britain example, they wanted to go with the core value that we have, that Edward Jones has right now, but it did not go that well because out there it's mainly based on how banks work and not according to how retails, how Edward Jones does. And it was kind of more expensive for them. So that's why we want to do a little bit more research in France before actually entering into the market, how things function, and how they want to actually view us as that way, and maybe change our core value a little, not a lot, but still stick to the core values when we go into that. We are thinking of France in Europe as a starting point because it has a growth rate of 16% by 2020. And what we were thinking is to actually have training of financial advisors in Canada and then transferring them out to France. But this training will be basically just for the starting, probably about 50 financial advisors, just to see how it will work out, and probably later on maybe expand more if it goes well. These are some of the competitors that we have looked for. There's more information about the competitors in the package on the last page, page 4. These companies actually run as bank-based and not retail how we do. So that's why I was like, we want to do more research before we enter the market. And I think with our core values, it could be kind of beneficial, especially, like knocking on doors, that's what we basically do. And I think it could be a potential opportunity for us to try something new out there, and maybe something they could even learn about out there as well. This is the five folds analysis. This is not the exact market that we want, but I think it has a potential growth rate. So maybe a little bit of just going out of your comfort zone and trying out the market would be a great idea. Okay, another solution that we have, we believe that this would be a better solution than going into France, is actually targeting the small businesses. Usually at this age, millennials actually they plan, or they actually are already starting off small businesses, and they have about right now they have 88% of small businesses are millennials, and it goes back to universities. Is right now if they have one, you can actually you can target small businesses from the universities itself, and they can talk to you about how to invest more and further, how things should be flowing, probably have a plan for 5 years, how the investment should be going. So basically we want to have the small businesses and make sure that we will be having higher rates of millennials than baby boomers for the small investment at this point of time, and that would be increasing. Especially not to forget that universities now encourage students for more entrepreneurship, and they encourage them to go towards that field, so which would be a maybe bigger perspective in the future. A long-term vision would be actually sticking with the core value that Edward Jones has, but just a little bit touch of technology so we can get to the millennials and the generations after that. So just a little bit improvement here and there. We want to keep the clients happy. We want to make them feel like a family member. Still, like how we said, it's face-to-face kind of meetings. Usually you guys go knocking on doors, but for our generation, it's more like knocking on social media, basically. So it could be something a little different, but still sticking to the core value. We can have both as 50-50 type of a personality. And the other way is to actually get engaged in the community And like universities, there's tons of things to do in universities just than educating them.
Sorry, time is up. So, you. Q&A.
I have a couple of questions here. On the expanding in universities, I'm sorry, I was a little confused. Are you talking about opening financial advisor offices on the university campus, or are you developing a new program? I wasn't really clear on what your recommendation was for that.
Essentially what we're saying is that we would like to open actual offices,
Okay.
but instead of gearing them more towards an actual profit, it'd be more of an educational purpose. So instead of hiring financial advisors to work on like a commission basis, it would be like a salary, so that there isn't so much of an incentive to necessarily increase the customer base, but in the short term, I should say. But in the long run, we can educate these potential future investors to come back to us 15 years down the road and to set up their retirement plans and so on.
So how would you sustain that model from a financial aspect? So I was struggling to, that's what I was thinking that was, but I couldn't figure out the return on investment for that.
Unfortunately, that's something we didn't look into particularly, but if we could, we would just really rely on a wider customer base necessarily than larger investments, if that was to make sense. So we're just banking on numbers, unfortunately. So that's the answer.
If I may add to that, it wouldn't be like the way the financial advisors work now, with having their own branches and being able to make a lot of money off of the 1.35% commission that they're making right now. So it would be more of a salary-based type job position, but you would also be targeting millennials, not only just the students in particular, but also the faculty, the staff. I mean, universities, they have big communities, they create big communities. They're like communities of their own. And we feel like Edward Jones, with the particular business model that you guys have, it would be almost, it's really important that you target these communities, and that's how we feel about that.
So just to take that, because I really think it's an interesting thought. So at least conceptually, you could track the downstream effect of the people that you met from the university, right?
Exactly.
So how long do you think that would, just give a sense of scale, how long would it take for you to see the impact of that? If we started this year, when would we start seeing the impact of that?
I would say we believe, that's a great question, by the way. We believe that within the 3 years there would be some form of an impact forming, but by 5-year mark it would be significant, and it would be almost established almost as a part of the community. Because if you can reach the students through different events, if you can just be there for them, if they're struggling. Think of it this way: if they start off their freshman year, they have to take out a debt or whatnot, and they started investing not even every month, but every other month or something like that. They separate a small amount of money that can, by the time they senior and they're graduating, it can grow to like $5,000 or $10,000. That's a significant amount of money that they can then use to, buy when they get a new job, buy their car, or rent an apartment, or if there's a period that they're without a job, they can rely on those funds. You're educating them also for the future. This is the creation of the long-term relationship. So not only that you are using this, just being there for them now, that it will have a significant impact for them in the future, and focusing on the life insurance, the 401k, and so on.
And I'd like to add to that, it really depends on the student also, because we're not just accepting a specific, with the training program, we're dealing with students who may not be studying finance, who just want to know more about investment. But 3 to 5 years is what we expect to enjoy. It really depends on where the student starts and their skill, their education level at that moment.
You suggested 2 test markets, Atlanta and St. Louis, and the consideration there was based on the headquarters, the large office being in Atlanta. In order to get a good proof of concept or test market, do you guys feel that Atlanta and St. Louis would be reflective of the most profitable or goal-oriented markets in the United States for Edward Jones?
It was actually Arizona, right?
Yeah.
Because of the training centers.
Okay, sorry.
That's all right. Because of the location of the training centers, it is so close that we feel that would be the easiest way to begin with this program and see where it takes us.
It's essentially just because it's already an area we're familiar with, and we already connect with the demographics in that area. So we feel we'll already have some sort of connection and build a little more trust to
you can actually even start off with St. Louis Post itself because it is basically set up over here. And frankly speaking, if you ask most of the university people for financial advisors whom they want to usually go to, they are very familiar with Edward Jones and they would suggest going to Edward Jones as an individual. It's just that most of the time we don't think at this age of doing that is to actually go to Edward Jones. We just talk to one another basically more often. It's like talking to your peeps. That's pretty much it what we do. But if you guys are actually there on the locations, we can actually come to somebody professional in the area and talk to you guys about it. And basically, it's not just about the future investment. I mean, frankly speaking, when we are going to get old and retire, I don't think there's going to be much of Social Security left for us. So we're already thinking of investing at this point. I already put like 20% of my 401k from my check every time. So I'm already like thinking out there. So basically we are already in that procedure. It's just we need a direction to actually go and how to do it.
So you talked about the training program and some changes that you've made regarding the licensing and the regulatory exams. I was just curious, you talked a little bit about, allowing retests and these mentoring programs. There's two things. One is I didn't know if you did any research on pass rate. And then the second follow-up question to that was from a client perspective. So if you're a client and you're looking for a financial advisor, are you really comfortable knowing that our client's interest comes first of having somebody who's failed the regulatory exams that has to do with how they advise their clients and that shows up? So I was just curious to know what your thoughts were thinking through that.
That's a great question, actually. So we did some research on it. About 90% of all of your interns that go through this program, they pass the exam. Then the Series 66, I believe they are allowed to take 2 times because there's a higher failure percentage. We're not, and that is a big part of your tradition that you're having people. Not only that finance is a big factor, but you want somebody who can talk to. Who can talk to them, who can become a part of their families, who they can trust, and who they like. And that's the only, no matter what your knowledge skill is, if somebody doesn't trust you, you will not invest money with them because the clients give money to these advisors, and that's the most sacred thing most of us have these days. So back to your question, we believe that if they fail the first time and it doesn't work out, if you guys are not willing to give them that second opportunity, universities would be a great fit for them, and just to see how they act, like a different career path, if you will, to where they're more like mentors, and they would also have to be more of a younger group of advisors because they need to know how to relate to these clients, to these future clients. So that's why we believe universities would be a great fit for other journalists.
I can give a different perspective on that. I shouldn't necessarily say we shouldn't not trust the person the first time around. If we send them back to this mentorship program, obviously they're going to get educated on what they lacked on the first time taking the test. And that could make up for what they didn't know and become more educated, become a stronger financial advisor. And that could in turn build trust for me to personally go and invest with someone who possibly failed the first time, as long as they got that training to make up for what they lacked the first time.
So you talked a bit about sort of shifting towards technology, and I think that's an interesting balance, right? Because Edward Jones is known for the face-to-face relationship. Do you see risk in that? If we become very competent, if you will, in the technology, that we start to lose what, as you said, we have a very unique brand position right now. Are we putting that at risk if we get too far down that path?
Yeah, probably yes. That's why I said that, probably try off with the 50-50 because knowing us, most of us would prefer doing a like a FaceTime or something as such with technology. It also depends, like we also had a survey that more than 50% actually, I don't remember the exact percentage, but we would actually even like to have a face-to-face meeting. It actually depends on individual and how their time schedules are. So basically, what I would say is that not go completely towards technology. That's why we're still sticking to the core value. Knocking on doors is still our core value. It's just that is another perspective that you could add for the millennials and the next generation up. And then probably after that, Now, how it works out, you can actually process the procedure.
Time's up. Thank you so much for your solution.
Thanks, that's
Tango.
awesome, great job.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, thanks for your time.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming.